Hey everyone, welcome back. It's been long, it's been a while since we streamed, and today we have Japhlet and Chioma, who would do introduction to open source and and talk about Hacktoberfest. Uh, for me, I think this is my second Hacktoberfest that I'm going to attend. Last I did attend, and I'm going to tell you like it's worth it to attend Hacktoberfest and do open source contributing to various repositories. And before I explain Hacktoberfest to you guys, I'll let Japhlet and Shuma introduce themselves. So hey, how are you guys doing?
Okay. Hi everyone. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, you can. Please introduce yourself.
Okay. All right. Hi everyone. My name is Mbaoma Chioma Mary. I'm a beta level MSP from Nigeria. I'm studying geophysics and I write flags for back end web development. And I like to eat Nigerian Jollof and I also like going on long walks in the evening. Thank you.
Yeah. So hey, Japhlet, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Yeah, it's evening here in Nigeria. I'm Japhlet Nwamu, a Microsoft student ambassador currently in beta from the University of Benin, Nigeria. Currently studying computer science in final year. I'm a C# developer, love artificial intelligence, love building solutions with Azure AI specifically. Love Power Platform because of its flexibility and the fact that it empowers people to achieve more, empowers them to build solutions. I love Nigerian Jollof too. Yeah, Nigerian Jollof is a very nice meal. I'm in love with Nigerian Jollof. And yeah, I like football too. That's all about me.
Okay. So shall I start the presentation? Are you ready? Are you guys ready to explain?
Yes,
Yeah,
we are.
I'm ready.
Yes. Okay. So hold on. Let me just bring up your presentation slides and share. I hope it's loading for you. There you go. Okay, the session's all yours. Take it.
Okay. Just give me a minute so you can come up on my end. Okay, so I will be talking about an introduction to open source, while Japhlet tells us how we can participate in Hacktoberfest, which will hold next month. Okay, so a brief intro to open source. So let's talk about open source. So when software is referred to as open source, that means its source code is freely available to use, modify, and redistribute. So where can we find open source software? Version control platforms such as GitHub are very popular with open source code because most developers put their code on open source on version control platforms such as GitHub. We have GitLab. Then how can I identify open source projects? They always have licenses. So these licenses are just some rules that control how people contribute to the project. They can also highlight probably specific features that the owner of the project wants people to contribute towards. And they also help regulate how people can share and modify the software. So one good thing about open source projects is that they promote collaboration because you can have an unlimited number of people working on a particular piece of code. When you have such diversity in play, you can be guaranteed that you are going to experience that when you use that software, it's going to be really, really good. So the next slide. So you may ask me what is source code? So source code is part of software that most computer users don't ever see. So whenever you're writing codes, everything you write, even from your print hello world down to the complex algorithms and all what's not, they are all source code because your users, the end users of whatever software you are building, don't get to see that. They only see the results. So programmers who have this particular code can improve on the actual software by fixing bugs or adding features to the source code. So you might ask me, why the hype about open source software? Because these days everyone's talking about open source and open source. So firstly, we need to identify the types of software that we have. We have the proprietary software and the open source software. So proprietary software refers to those software whose source code can only be accessed by the team working on it. That is, they are in a private repository. Because in GitHub, we have the public repositories and the private repositories. So on private repositories, only people you add as collaborators can access the source code there. But when you have a public repository, anyone, okay, who is going through GitHub can just stumble across your code and decide to contribute to it. So an example is Microsoft Word. So now open source software, as we know, can be accessed by interested members of the public. Yeah, because they're in public repositories. An example is LibreOffice. So how do we benefit from open source software? So the early inventors built much of the internet on open source technologies. Linux is also a very good example of an open source platform. Okay, because a lot of people customize the software to suit your need. So there may be sometimes when you need a particular piece of the software, okay, there may be sometimes when you need a particular piece of the software to work on a particular piece of code that you are writing personally. So instead of stressing yourself, thinking of how you're going to write that, you can just stumble upon an open source project and just like, hey, this is what I need. And then you pick up that particular code and then you customize it to suit what you really want to do. Then programmers contribute to open source software in a bid to gain experience of working on a real life project and also for the culture. And if you need to work on a real life project, it's often advised that you work on open source projects, because when you contribute to open source, people get to read your code and they can also comment on it, pointing out probably mistakes or maybe some inadequacies, and it also helps you to improve. Other benefits include stability, security, and community building. So another good thing about open source software is it has a very detailed documentation. So since a lot of people are contributing towards that particular project, they get to have very detailed documentation, because the more, the merrier. So next slide. Okay, so someone might ask if beginners can contribute to open source. Yes, anyone who is conversant with version control software such as GitHub, Bitbucket, or GitLab can contribute to open source software. So contributions range from updating readmes and documentations to major bug fixes. So even if you're a beginner, okay, you don't have to start from the complex levels. You can just start by going through a readme, trying to fix some typographical errors there. Then you progress to some major bug fixes. So I'm going to call on Japhlet now. He's going to tell us how we can participate in contributing to open source software. So Japhlet.
Great. Thank you very much, Omar, for this session. So we've heard a lot about open source software. How do we get started on this path? Now, to get started with open source software, you first of all have to be part of communities that. Okay. Sorry, the next slide, please. You have to be part of communities that work together to build softwares that are open source. Now, for example, I'm going to be talking about Hacktoberfest. It is one of those opportunities you have as a developer to work on open source projects. It's for everybody in the global community, whether you're a developer who has been programming for a very long time, or you're just starting out your career building solutions, you have the opportunity to participate in a month-long celebration of open source software. So you get to contribute to open source software for that period of time. It's held in October, which has 31 days. So for 31 days, you have the opportunity to contribute to open source. Now, as Omar has mentioned, some benefits of open source is the fact that you get the opportunity to bring in your inputs to whatever software is being created. You have the opportunity to have your ideas also part of that solution. What you want to be included in the solution is also has a chance to be included in it. Now, it's open source. Hacktober also gives entrepreneurs and developers the opportunity to be able to test their ideas, to build their businesses, and also to follow their dreams. It gives you the opportunity to work on fun projects. While working on fun projects, you have the opportunity to meet as many new persons as possible, and yeah, get the opportunity to build. So how does Hacktober work? Now, it's way easy at Oktoberfest. It's way easy. All you have to do is just go to hacktoberfest.com, register, have resources that can guide you. If, for example, you're a beginner, you have beginner resources that can guide you on your path to contributing to open source. For example, you have resources such as making your first pull request or writing a commit message. You also have the opportunity to learn how to get a job from open source development or contributions and all of those cool stuff. So yeah, here are a few things a few homework for everyone. First, to be able to participate in open source contributions, you need a GitHub account. Very, very important, because multiple times you would have to make pull requests, you have to contribute to whatever solution is built. And when you submit those pull requests, they are merged and added to the solution. So first, you need to create a GitHub account, get used to a GitHub account, how a GitHub works, and how you can make pull requests and merge them and do all of that. Then next, you also need to find a project that you would like to contribute to. If you can't find one, you have the opportunity of starting your own project and getting all other people to contribute to your project. Now, when you have made as many changes or as many pull requests, you might just be fortunate that one of your pull requests might be merged to the solution. Once it has been merged, you have the opportunity to tell people about this when you share on Open Teams. Now, Open Teams is like LinkedIn for open source developers. So on LinkedIn, you have the opportunity to share the things you have done, share all your accomplishments and all of that. With Open Teams, you have the opportunity to share your open source project, public requests, all you have contributed to have a lot of persons who are interested in your work, interested in what you're doing, to maybe someday get to invite you to work for them. So these are the 4 key things we will need you to do to be able to participate in open source and be able to contribute your part in all of the solutions. If at any point you have questions concerning open source contributions, you can just reach out to I or Omar on Twitter, for Omar at Mbaoma and mine at Japhlet. You can ask your questions about open source development, and yeah, you get answers to all of your questions.
Okay, that was informative webinar regarding Hacktoberfest and everything. So I don't see your questions in the chat, but I hope that someone watching in the future will have questions in comments. But anyways, um, I have a question from my side. So so did you guys must have participated previously on in Hacktoberfest, right? Hacktoberfest 2019. You both.
Yeah.
So how was your like your overall experience? Like, did you was it your first time like doing Hacktoberfest, and was it your first time doing requests and everything?
Okay. So participating in Hacktoberfest is actually fun because it gives you the opportunity to interact with other developers and open source generally. You could learn from other developers while also contributing. So, for example, I need to contribute to something. I go to that particular solution or that particular software, and I see, oh, this is a particular solution that a developer has built and it works and it's already there. I learn from it and I build, I continue growing. So, Oktoberfest made that happen. You for you to participate, like I mentioned earlier, you have to register. When you register, you make 4 pull requests from October 1st to October 31st on a project. Once it's approved, you get the opportunity to have a shirt from October 1st, and also you get the opportunity to interact with lots of people, like I mentioned earlier.
Yes, and regarding you, like if you're a serious developer, there is a need for like swags and t-shirts, and Hacktoberfest does give out so many nice stickers, I would say. Yes, and thanks for the conversation, Olumite. Thanks for joining also, and okay, and thanks Japhlet and Chioma to uh, approaching MS Inspire for this podcast, and I hope everyone who joined should have an idea about Hacktoberfest now. Okay. So before we go, any suggestions for the people attending the Hacktoberfest for the first time? Last suggestions.
Okay,
Okay.
so Uma, would you like to go first?
Okay, so my passing words are: you should be confident of yourself and your skills, and don't be afraid to make any mistakes. And if you ever have any doubts, probably about how to use GitHub or what contributions to make, you can always reach out to any student partner in your community, and I'm sure they will love to help you. Thank you.
Yeah, and from my end, I can't just stop mentioning the benefits of open source development because over time it has built a lot of developers who are who they are now, who can build solutions now. So I encourage everybody, whether you're a beginner, whether you have been coding for some time, be sure to participate in open source contributions, contribute to these softwares. The world should be able to get your input on whatever solution is being built. They should be able to get your voice into it. And like Omar mentioned, if you have any questions, be sure to ask any student ambassador who will be super excited to help you on your path to build amazing solutions.
Yes, everyone would be happy to if you guys approach us. Okay, so yes, that's it. I think that's for today, and I hope everyone watching the stream will participate this time in Hacktoberfest. And thanks, Japhlet and Homa, to organize this wonderful session. And yes, um, that's it from my side, and we'll see you guys soon next week probably. Yes, so bye everyone.
Yeah, thanks for
Thanks.
the
Bye.
session, everyone.
Yeah, bye.